Here's what I discovered right away. When I made the tiny little figure out of wire and I tried to put all of them together at the same time, I realized I was going to run into trouble. So I think it's probably best to do it a little bit at a time. So I've got that guy's pants on. But let's start with making the wire figure. First, you want to measure 4 inches of wire. You can use any kind of wire. This is floral wire and it's fine. So let's cut that. And then the first thing you want to do with that wire is fold it in half. But you don't have to squish it all the way down. As a matter of fact, it's helpful at first if you don't. So I've got that little loop I can hang on to, and I'm going to open up the ends and I'm going to wrap them around. A little bit more, there we go. When you're making a figure, it's helpful to remember that each body part, the torso, the legs, and the arms are all about the same length. For instance, there's a leg, and the arm is about the same, and also that torso is the same as those. And then the head just sits on top. So now we've started our figure. The next thing you'll do is fold the legs in half. So you started out with 4 inches and you folded it in half. That makes 2 inches. And then you fold that in half and you have your 1 inch. It may be a little bit taller, but that is okay. If you have wire ends that need to be twisted together, do that. You don't want to be poking yourself. Now, the reason that I said that it's okay if it's a little bit taller is because you'll want feet. These come in very handy. These are chain nose pliers or needle nose pliers. Grab a hold of the end of one leg and make a foot. And make a foot. Just like that. And he's about 1 inch tall. Now, to do the arms, I'm going to use 2 inches of the wire. And I'm going to wrap it around right in his middle. Wrap one side first, and then the other. Until you think the arm is about 1/2 inch long, and you can measure as you go. You can check it. That's about 1/2 inch. And then wrap the other arm around the other way. And that's going to help you because it keeps the arms from moving too much. If you just wrap them around once, if you had folded them in half and wrapped them once, they would be moving all over the place. So let's talk about putting the clay on. I've picked some of my favorite colors, and I like blue jeans. I wear blue jeans all the time. So that's what I'm making, blue jeans. And you'll want some small pieces, really small pieces. About like, oops, about like that. And you'll need the front and back piece for the top of the pants and 2 pieces for the legs. And the legs you're going to roll out without getting too thin on the ends. A piece like that, and that is, let's see, is that 1/2 inch? No, not quite, but that's all right. Okay, so there's the 2 legs. Let's go with this guy. Before I start to put any of the clay on, I want to decide whether he's going to be sitting or standing or walking. Let's make this guy sit down. So we'll bend him in the middle and bend his legs. Like that. Now let's see if he'll sit down. I think he will. I think he'll sit down. So because I bent the legs, I now want to do the pant legs in 2 pieces. So I'm just going to break that in half. Not quite half. Like that. And I'm going to do the upper leg first. And all I'm doing is squishing that on and wrapping it around. The less you work with the clay, the better it's going to work out for you. Wrap it very gently. It's important when you're working with polymer clay that you remember to touch it very, very gently as you're working. Just like you were maybe petting a caterpillar. Alright, now I'm going to put the back on the top of his pants. Just by squeezing there. And then I'm going to squeeze here in the front. And there is a pair of pants. Just a small ball. And it's going on to the front of the little loop. And what's going on the back is some hair. What you'll find when you're working with the dark colors, like the black and this dark brown, is that it will get on your hands. Ooh, red is a bad one too. So use these colors last or wash your hands in between. Okay. Let's stick his hair on. And let's put a little more of that hair on the top of his head. Okay, I think he's ready to bake. And then the last thing that we'll do is draw his face on. This little guy is going to be holding a ball, so his arms are bent. But before I can put his sleeves on, see how this moves around? I need to trap those arms in the clay. So I'm putting some on the front and some on the back, and that will be the main part of his shirt. That looks good. Let's go bake him. Alright, here's our basketball guy. And he's ready for some sleeves. One of those is a little bigger. Make sure that they're soft. When you take them out of the oven, make sure you let them cool before you go to do any more work. Here's our little guy that's sitting down. Maybe he's watching the other guy play basketball. Let's give him a shirt. Here's one way of making shoes for a figure that's going to be standing. I rolled the little pink shoes and I put them onto the green stand, and now I'm going to push her feet into them. And now she's a little standing figure. Ta-da! There she is. Alright, let's do a face. Okay, let's put a little face on this guy. His eyes are going to be about halfway down his face. And I'm just barely touching. Okay, let's give him a smile. just like that. You can certainly do more detail if you want, but that's really all you need for someone to look at it and say, hey, that's a little guy. Here's our little dude who's sitting. And he needs a head and some hands and shoes. A little bit more. And let's give him some hair. Here's our little guy that's sitting and waving. He's cheering the team on. Whoops. Well, there are our little figures, all done with their little faces drawn on. The ones that are supposed to stand really well. You don't have to put that bottom piece on, but if you want them to be able to stand right away, that's probably the best way. Otherwise, you can use hot glue on the little shoes and then stand them where you want them.